9.2. Connective tissue. Connective tissue is one of the other primary tissue types. This is a very diverse group of tissues. Their functions include support of other tissues, protection of other soft tissue, transportation, and also storage. Some general characteristics of connective tissue. Keep in mind how this differs from the epithelial tissue in the first segment of this lesson. In connective tissue, the cells are widely separated. They're not right up against their neighbors. They're widely spaced out, and they have a secreted material called the matrix, which is between the cells. This matrix contains some gelatinous material, some secreted gelatinous proteins, but then also some fibrous proteins. Those fibrous proteins can be collagen fibers. These are very strong, twisted cables of fibrous proteins. There are some which are much thinner, which are called reticular fibers, made from the same protein, but rather than strong cables, this makes a very fine branched net to support other cell types, other soft tissues. And 1/3 is called an elastic fiber. It's made of the protein elastin, and this allows connective tissues to stretch and then return to their original shape. There are a number of different types of connective tissue. Again, a lot of diversity in this primary group of tissues. There are some connective tissues that are called fibrous tissues. They contain all three of those fiber types that we listed on the previous slide. These are produced by a cell called a fibroblast. We can further subdivide fibrous connective tissue into either dense fibrous connective tissue or loose fibrous connective tissue. And the difference is in the amount and the density of those secreted protein fibers. We would find dense fibrous connective tissue in areas such as tendons and ligaments, where we need a lot of density, we need a lot of strength. Also, the dermis that underlies the skin is dense fibrous connective tissue. And loose fibrous connective tissue is very widespread throughout the body, and its role is to form a thin supportive sheet, primarily just beneath epithelial tissues. Here are some pictures. On the left, this is the dense fibrous connective tissue. The little dark spots that you see there represents the nuclei of the fibroblasts, those cells that have produced this matrix material, and the matrix is primarily the thick bundles of strong collagen. On the right, this would be loose fibrous connective tissue, and so you see a lot more space. There's going to be a lot more of the gelatinous material here. The dark spots would be the fibroblast, the actual living cell. You can see the various fibers throughout this tissue, the collagen, the elastic fiber. Some of those other very thin branched fibers might be reticular fibers. And then the lighter space contains the gelatinous material. Some other connective tissues, adipose, which is fat. The function of adipose is cushioning, insulation, as well as energy storage. So here is a diagram of fat. You can see the outline of the plasma membrane. The nucleus is pushed way over to one side, and this cell is simply filled with triglyceride fat. Cartilage is also a connective tissue. This is a firm, flexible material. It is secreted by a cell called a chondrocyte. That would be a cartilage cell. Cartilage is also avascular, similar to epithelium. It does not contain blood vessels. However, unlike epithelium, this material, this particular tissue, does not divide by mitosis very rapidly at all. So cartilage is very slow to heal. There are three specific types of cartilage. The most common is hyaline cartilage. Cartilage is easy to recognize because you have this very distinct kind of bird's eye structure. That little circle is called a lacuna, which means little lake, and the chondrocyte, the living cell, is found within the lacuna, and then the matrix is secreted between the individual cells. Hyaline cartilage is found in the nose, it is found on the ends of bones, and also the fetal skeleton first develops out of hyaline cartilage and then later is converted into hard bone. Fibrocartilage is another cartilage type. This is found in vertebral disc between the back, and there's also a pad of fibrocartilage in the knee between the femur and the tibia of the knee joint. Elastic cartilage is very flexible, so the outer ear is made up of elastic cartilage. Bone is also a connective tissue. This is a hard connective tissue. It is a matrix. It's made of concentric rings that are deposited, and then those rings are impregnated with mineral to make this a very hard, rigid, and strong material. In a later lesson, we will be looking at much greater detail at the structure of bone. Blood is also a connective tissue. This would be a liquid connective tissue. The actual liquid portion of blood, the plasma, is the matrix, and then there are a number of distinct cell types which are found in the blood as well. In the very next lesson, we'll be looking at the cardiovascular system and learn much more about the blood.